It's Tuesday, February 1st, and this is now on H&N.
We'll have to wait and see exactly how that will play out.
The DOD says it will appeal the state's emergency order to empty the Red Hill fuel tanks.
There is no trade space, none, when it comes to those issues.
U.S. officials maintain they want to solve the rising tensions along the Russia-Ukraine border diplomatically. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House with the latest and the high-level international talks underway.
Global tensions are leading to higher crude oil prices.
You've seen it. The rise in gas prices has been fast and furious. What's causing this, and when can we expect some relief? We got these stories plus.
A lot of us, they get to do it our way. We don't get to leave the game the way we want to.
Tom Brady announces he's retiring after 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowl titles. Details coming up on This Is Now. We're getting started today at noon with this breaking news. One student is dead and another one injured after a school shooting in Richfield, Minnesota. The shooting occurred just after noon Central Time at the South Education Center. When officers arrived, they found 2 students who had been shot on the sidewalk outside the school. The suspects fled the scene immediately after the shooting, according to police. Both students were taken to a nearby medical center. As I mentioned, one student passed away. The other remains in critical condition. Law enforcement officials say they are still searching for the suspects, but determined there is no further threat to the school and nearby area. We'll continue to follow this story. Look for updates on your H&N digital platforms.
Now to our other top story. The Department of Defense says it will appeal the state's emergency order to empty the Red Hill fuel tanks. Let's toss it over to Civil Beat reporter Christina Jedra with an update.
All right, Christina, so you have an article that's in Civil Beat right now. Headline reads, Military will fight Hawaii order to drain the Red Hill facility. What's going on here and what reaction are you getting?
So the military is going to be taking the state health department to court. This is all about the health department's emergency order from back in December to halt operations at the Red Hill fuel facility and ultimately drain the tanks after there was a water contamination crisis that impacted thousands of families. So long story short, the military initially said that they would comply with that order. Now they're walking that back, saying that they're going to sue in state and federal court. And I guess a judge will have to decide whether it gets enforced.
And you were saying you were just checking court filings. What's next in this process? How's this whole legal battle play out?
Yeah, I haven't seen the actual legal arguments filed yet, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how that will play out. I know that some of the arguments the military was making before was that they didn't believe the state had the power to tell them what to do and to shut down the facility. And also they didn't think that the state had met the requirements under the law for their emergency powers to kick in, basically. But you asked earlier, what are people's reactions? The military's move here is not being received well by the community and local politicians. Our congressional delegation, they all came out with statements last night, really expressing their disappointment, to say the least, and their intention to hold the Navy accountable one way or another.
Let's talk about the real people, the non-officials. I live in Waikiki. I still see the laundry station set up in some of the hotels. What is going on with those impacted families and individuals? What are you hearing from them, and what's the latest on getting them back to their homes? They're still out, right?
Yeah, there's still thousands of families living in hotels. They had initially been told they'd be back by Christmas and then in early January. Now we're almost into February and they're still in the hotels. The Navy continues to do flushing and testing, and some of the test results look good, some not so good. So I think they're still figuring out where the problem is and how long it will take to fix it. I haven't gotten really an updated estimate of when everyone will be back in their homes, but honestly, the residents are telling me even when they are brought back in, they have this really strong feeling of distrust and they're really going to be scared to use the water, even if the Navy says it's safe.
And let's talk about the flushing and cleaning process, the treatment of the tainted water. I'm hearing a lot of developments there, right? What's going on with that?
Right. So on Friday, the Navy invited us to the Red Hill shaft. We did like a tour with the media. So we got to see the contaminated well and the pump room. And what they're doing is they basically diverted a pipeline. So instead of the Red Hill well's water, which is contaminated, going to the distribution system in everyone's home, they've pumped it through a tunnel at the Red Hill facility and above ground to these giant filtration tanks. And they'll be filtered twice through one tank and then the other, and then it will be dumped into the Halava stream. Now, the health department and the Navy say that that should be totally safe. We should not see any fish kills or see a sheen or smell anything off in the stream, that water is like double filtered, and that it should be safe for the environment and for public health in the area.
Christina, Jedra, Civil Beat, we're going to have to leave it there. Always a pleasure to read your great reporting and to get updates from you here on This Is Now.
Thanks so much, Jonathan.
The Biden administration says it is looking for a diplomatic solution to avoid a Russian invasion of Ukraine. Skylar Henry has more on a series of high-level talks scheduled for today.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he hopes dialogue will continue, even as 100,000 of his troops threaten Ukraine. Putin accused the West of ignoring the Kremlin's security demands, including a guarantee that NATO won't expand to Ukraine or deploy weapons near the Russian border.
There is no trade space, none, when it comes to those issues.
Ukraine is engaging in high-level diplomacy with European allies, welcoming British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to Kyiv.
A further Russian invasion of Ukraine would be a political disaster, a humanitarian disaster. In my view, it would also be, for Russia, for the world, a military disaster.
A delegation from the European Parliament also pledged its support, saying Ukraine has one thing Russia does not.
One should not be mistaken. Ukraine has many friends, whereas Russia chose to be isolated.
Officials here in Washington say any talks with Russia need to happen in the context of de-escalation, but the U.S. says it's ready either way. For many in Ukraine, it already feels like war.
War is every day difficult. You know, when you don't have water, when you don't have electricity, it's very, very bad.
You're already living with war.
Yes.
CBS News has learned President Biden is prepared to announce a new U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Bridget Brink. Congress is also working on a bipartisan bill to put new sanctions on Russia. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Well, is paying for gas putting a dent in your budget? Today on Sunrise, Billy V got an update on the crazy prices we're seeing statewide.
As a matter of fact, we're being joined on Zoom by Doug Shoup, who's the AAA Hawaii spokesperson. Doug, good morning. I'd like to start with this. Talk about the upward pressure on pump prices and what you are seeing.
Yeah, good morning, Billy. Thanks for having me on. You know, global tensions are leading to higher crude oil prices, and certainly the uncertainty over Russia's intentions with the Ukraine is contributing to these higher crude oil prices, which are close to $90 per barrel. And so we know when the higher crude oil prices are happening, we're going to eventually see those higher pump prices as well. Right now in Hawaii, the statewide average $4.40 for a gallon of regular unleaded. That is $1.07 higher than a year ago at this time. To put that into perspective, drivers with a typical 14-gallon size fuel tank, they're paying almost $15 more to fill up that tank of gas today than 1 year ago.
Hey, Doug, and you know, we're hoping that peace prevails over there between Ukraine and Russia, but even though if that happens, we're not going to see the prices come down right away. Is that correct?
Yeah, we likely won't. You know, the other big factor is just the consumer demand for gasoline. It's something that we've seen throughout the pandemic, people sticking closer to their vehicles to spend that quality time with their family. And so, you know, the demand for fuel is very high right now. That's why, you know, AAA Hawaii reminding all drivers to take simple steps to maximize their fuel efficiency.
Doug, give us some tips. Help us save money. Go ahead, and what do you got?
Yeah, real quickly, there are some very easy things that we can all do as drivers. Number one, obey the speed limit. Go the speed limit. The faster your vehicle is moving, the more fuel you're burning. Make sure your vehicle is well maintained, including properly inflated tires. If you're driving on underinflated tires, that's just causing you to waste your fuel. Some other things, lighten the load of your vehicle. Get rid of any extra weight that you don't need to be driving around, because the heavier the vehicle is, the more you're paying to drive it around. Avoid those jackrabbit starts. Park in the shade when you can, or use a sunscreen in your windshield. That will lessen the heat buildup in your vehicle, so your AC doesn't have to work as hard and use as much fuel to cool off the inside of the car when you get back in. And finally, shop around for the cheapest gas prices. We're often creatures of habit. We go to that one station because it's convenient to get to, but look around for other stations selling for less. And if you don't have to drive too far out of your way to get to those, we encourage you to go to those stations.
Now to the latest coronavirus numbers being reported by the State Department of Health. DOH says 1,068 infections were confirmed today, and there were no new fatalities. For a complete breakdown of all today's new cases, just head to your H&N digital platforms. Well, the city opened up a new quarantine facility yesterday in Eva. Officials say while case numbers are dropping, there's still a need to quarantine. Allison Blair reports.
Brand new, it's open, it's empty.
Located off Renton Road, it's Eva's newest affordable housing project. But before permanent residents move in, it'll house COVID patients who have nowhere else to go.
We're using the first and second floor right now for quarantine.
It's the third isolation facility to open on Oahu this month. On December 31st, state contracts for quarantine hotel rooms expired. Now it's up to the counties to find and maintain their own sites.
In the tent here, you can see there are sort of individual units.
Last Monday, the state's largest homeless service provider set up these tents on Sand Island to house some shelter guests who test positive. Officials say as of this morning, 6 people were isolating there. Harbor Arms Hotel in Aiea is also being used as a quarantine facility. It has 30 units. All are currently full.
We're going to provide 24 to 28 units here.
A driving factor behind opening Westlock was to take some of the strain off hospitals. Many remain at or near capacity. Officials say one of the reasons facilities are so full is because of waitlisted patients, people who are well enough to be released but can't get a bed in a long-term care facility or have no other place to isolate.
If someone, let's say, is discharged from the hospital, they will bring them from the hospital to here. If someone is at a UH dorm and they're COVID positive and can no longer stay there, they will bring them from the dorm to here.
So Bob in here.
We're told the rooms come at no cost to the patient. Private contractors provide transportation, 3 meals a day, and oversee the site.
So after the person leaves for their stay, there's complete disinfection.
If you're in need of a quarantine room, call Aloha United Way. That number is 211. In Eva, Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
All right, thank you, Allison. Want to take you live outside. Look at this, Mark. North shore of Oahu. That's pipeline there.
Glassy.
Yes, looking good. But we got to let you know there's a high surf warning. Surfers love it, but people like me can't get in there. That's according to the National Weather Service. It goes until 6 a.m. on Wednesday. I'm being told that the waves could reach up to 26 feet on those north-facing shores of the smaller islands and up to 20 feet on the west-facing shores. For an update on all the other conditions regarding your weather, here's Guy Hoggy.
Whatever moisture you see over the next several days will be of the light variety, clearing up by tonight, and you can see fairly dry conditions across the state. Now, the next time we're seeing an increase in rain that you could probably notice is probably Friday night going into the weekend, when windward and Mauka showers will increase as the trade winds increase. Looks like there's another front coming in sometime on Wednesday, but no guarantees that that's going to impact us at all. So we're in for a long stretch of the best weather on the planet. Trade winds are expected to be running about 10 to 20, but at this point, we could see light and variable winds today as well, like we did yesterday. And then light trade winds all the way through Friday, so there's still a chance for some afternoon clouds and showers. Stronger trade winds coming in starting on Friday all the way in through Monday, and that will mean a slight increase in those windward and Mauka showers.
A company that runs the Honolulu fish auction had to pay $117,000 after a federal investigation. The U.S. Department of Labor says the United Fishing Agency failed to pay overtime bonus wages to 33 employees and also did not keep accurate payroll records. The feds recovered the unpaid wages, damages, and penalties. In a statement, the company said it was unaware that it had to include bonuses when calculating overtime and that it will seek federal guidance going forward.
The U.S. Labor Department says a whopping 4.3 million Americans quit or changed their jobs in December. That's slightly below November's all-time record when 4.5 million workers left. There were nearly 11 million job openings nationwide in December when another coronavirus surge began disrupting the workforce. Industries with the highest quit rate were accommodation and food services. A humpback whale that was tangled in 2,500 feet of cord is now swimming freely off the garden aisle. NOAA says its team removed most of the line about 2 weeks ago, then tracked the whale down and waited for the right moment. NOAA says the whale is in sort of bad shape and is suffering from patches of whale lice, and that was made worse by the line. The whale still has about 15 feet of line embedded at the back of its mouth. It's too dangerous to remove, but experts believe the whale should be okay. Some are saying climate change is threatening future Olympic Games, as some cities can't stay cool enough to host. Our Tina Kraus has the story.
Team USA snowboarder Taylor Gold normally shreds fresh powder in Colorado. But in Beijing, it'll be a different ride.
It makes me sad that we need so much man-made snow to sustain winter sports.
China has rolled out more than 100 snow machines that will use an estimated 49 million gallons of water to get venues in shape for competition. For the first time in Olympic history, athletes will compete on 100% artificial snow. But keeping venues covered has been a challenge for years.
In the Sochi Games, the halfpipe was melting while we were competing on it. They were spraying some chemicals on it to try to get it to stay in shape.
Experts say by 2050, just 10 of the 19 past Winter Olympic cities will have suitable climates to sustain the Games.
A lot of them are getting really, really warm, not just really warm, but really warm really quickly,
forcing organizers and athletes to adapt.
The snow is actually really amazing, the man-made stuff. You have to be really aggressive with how you ride.
And scientists say only aggressive climate action can keep the winter in Winter Olympics. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Let's get to some good news coming from those Winter Games. And this is really cool. I love this story. If the adrenaline rush of chasing a gold medal wasn't enough, now snowboarder Shaun White is face to face with Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
Terrifying.
Yeah, let me play out the video. Wait for it. Love that face. Yep, White joins fellow Olympic icons like Nathan Chin in the NBC Universal's campaign for two of its biggest 2022 projects, the Winter Olympic Games, of course, which start right here on KHNL this week, and the dinosaur movie Jurassic Park. It's the sequel to the Jurassic World franchise, which opens in theaters on June 10th.
Excellent mashup right there.
Yeah, that's super cool. I saw it on their Instagram, NBC's Instagram. I was like, we got to play that today.
When worlds collide. Let's take a look at the story that's dominating the sports world today, though. Something that is taking over the feeds. Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, announced officially that he is retiring. Reports surfaced over the weekend that he was going to be retiring. Then we heard denials that he was undecided from his camp. And then today, it is official. After 22 years and 7 Super Bowl titles, Tom Brady is hanging his cleats up, and he is retiring. Danya Bacchus has the latest in the story from the feeds.
Tom Brady announced his retirement Tuesday morning on social media, capping a spectacular career. During 22 seasons, he literally rewrote the NFL record book with personal and team accomplishments.
He is the greatest quarterback in NFL history. That's just a fact. He is the GOAT.
In a lengthy statement, Brady said, "This is difficult for me to write, but here it goes. I'm not going to make that competitive commitment anymore. I have loved my NFL career, and now it is time to focus my time and energy on other things that require my attention." News of Brady's impending retirement leaked over the weekend. And as recently as Monday night, Brady said on his podcast he wasn't ready to make any announcements.
When I know, I'll know. And when I don't know, I don't know. And I'm not going to, race to some conclusion about that.
But KCBS sports director and former NFL player Jim Hill says Brady did it his way.
Not a lot of us that get to do it our way. We don't get to leave the game the way we want to. I doubt if we see another like a Tom Brady.
Brady had hoped to win his 8th Super Bowl here at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, but the Bucs lost to the Rams in the playoffs. His accomplishments fill record books, including leading the NFL in all-time touchdown passes and passing yards. He won 7 Super Bowls and earned 5 Super Bowl MVP awards. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell called Brady an incredible competitor and leader, saying his stellar career is remarkable for its longevity and for the sustained excellence he displayed year after year. Brady told his fans he's always believed the sport of football is an all-in proposition, saying, "I have tried my very best over these past 22 years. There are no shortcuts to success on the field or in life." Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, I know Mark is dying to talk about this some more. So, Mark, what stands out in Brady's career the most, other than those 7 Super Bowl victories?
Yeah, the 7 Super Bowl titles, which of course is huge, and his Hall of Fame career was cemented a long time ago. But I think the biggest thing that stands out with Tom Brady is the longevity and the ability to play at such a high level for such an extended period of time. Football is such a violent game. It is such a cerebral game. We have seen stars come and go. We have seen stars get to a point where either the injuries build up or they get to a point where, the game kind of moves past them and defenses have figured out their style of play. But the fact that Tom Brady was able to play at such a high level for an extended period of time really stands out. Something that, you just look back through his career. Something that really jumps out is the fact that if you were to take his career and split it up into different segments, his 20s, 30s, and 40s, every bit of those segments would serve as its own Hall of Fame career. If you only took what he did in his 20s, that's a Hall of Fame career. Same with the 30s, same with his 40s. When we see athletes get to a point, and this is something that Jim Hill was talking about, that, athletes, they're never, a lot of times they aren't able to go out on their own terms. Okay, we saw with Peyton Manning, although he finished his career with a Super Bowl title, he wasn't the same dominant Peyton Manning. What we saw with Tom Brady was excellence, sustained excellence all throughout. The game, the sport is going to miss him.
So now I'm just wondering, what was all the back and forth about? Has any reports came out about that? I haven't seen anything.
Nothing yet, but kind of just reading through it and just pure speculation, it seems to be something where this was an announcement where Tom Brady really wanted to control and get ahead of, and this is something that was very personal to him and his family that they wanted to announce specifically. He wanted to be in control of that, and he has every right to.
Yeah, it's that whole your own terms thing.
Right, but this is also a victory for the reporters that broke the story as well, because, hey, I told you this is going to happen.
And our reporters, speaking of, are headed to the Super Bowl. Yeah, H&M reporters will be there on the 7th of this month. You don't want to forget about that. And you guys, just so you know, that's going to do it for This Is Now. Mark's going to be back at 4. You don't want to miss that. I want to leave you with something super fun. Chinese New Year in New York City.